Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sean Ferrer with the Culturally Woke Republican, reporting on a Wednesday. If you ask me what date it is, I would say it's probably, oh yeah, that's right, it's the 5th day of May. Cinco de Mayo. Go Mexicans. I love tacos. So, there you go, that's my ploy at humor. Sorry. As I've told you guys before, I'm a pretty boring guy. So anyway, I do want to do a little bit of an intro on the aspect of apparently the legal system has completely gone absolutely crazy. The idea that people have no problem with lying to get to be jurors on such an influential case in the United States is preposterous. I mean, I actually expect anybody to come to court with me, and you know what? If you put your hand up and you recite that pledge, you're going to be completely honest. That's just the way it works. Okay? If it doesn't work that way, well, then guess what? Our legal system crumbles. And now, I'm not going to say that there are plenty of people that have lied on the stand, have lied in defense. I mean, tons of people through decades and over hundreds of years. But at the same time, I mean, such an influential case, and what I'm about to report on is going to blow your mind. So let's get right into that. Apparently, one of the jurors that were on the Derek Chauvin trial, the big influential case, okay, photos were leaked of him wearing a Black Lives Matter hat and shirt with a picture of George Floyd stating, "Get off of my neck." These photos were taken months before the Chauvin trial. Okay, and now these photos have been leaked. It also turns out that this individual is named Brandon Mitchell, that was on the jury for the Chauvin trial. He also had a podcast that he actually reported on the George Floyd death and all the atrocity that he saw with it, as well as other prejudicial rights injustices. So, this is before he became a juror on that case, which I've actually been to jury duty. I know what they ask you. The defense is who really picks the juror. But at the same time, I mean, the prosecution does, if they want, they'll ask you questions. Okay? He basically came right out and said, "No, I saw a couple of things, but you know what? I didn't know really much about the case." That being said, he lied. So basically what is coming out in the news now is he was actually a Black Lives Matter activist that snuck his way and lied his way onto the jury to be able to try and persuade the jury and convict Chauvin of, matter of fact, not just manslaughter, which I think, they might have gotten that one. Okay, but also murder 2 and murder 3. This man's life is ruined. Now, because of the recent events that have been reported, Chauvin's lawyer has, of course, come out of the woodwork and applied for an appeal and a mistrial, which I think he is completely allowed to do. I mean, even if the next jury convicts Chauvin, that's entirely up to them. But at the same time, if one juror was biased, that deserves a mistrial. Because that's not American justice. American justice is when all jurors are in the same light. Now, mind you, they also, I said that, this trial was kind of like a farce. I also said that Chauvin was basically going to be the left's sacrificial lamb. You know what I mean? He was going to go to prison regardless. It wouldn't have mattered what his defense did, what anybody did. He was going to prison. Okay, and that's just the way it was going to happen. Because the left need that sacrificial lamb in order to keep pushing the same narrative that the cops are horrible, the whole entire system is racist, and you know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. So, that being said, I'm like sitting back now going, wow. Now, how horrible was Chauvin's defense lawyer when he interviewed all these jurors, and he basically said, okay, you know what? Yeah, you're my pick. Didn't he do his research first on each one of the jurors that were coming into jury duty? I mean, didn't he, do something else other than just question the jurors at hand? I think me, as an attorney, I would have done those things, especially in such a high-profile case. I would have looked at every single juror, and I would have studied their Facebook profiles. I would have studied their Twitter profiles. I would have studied their Instagram. I would have studied YouTube on their name, on the aspect that I want to make sure that my client is getting the best defense that he can get. Now, am I calling Derek Chauvin's lawyer horrible? No. I am calling this guy horrible. Okay? He lied to get on the jury to be an activist against Derek Chauvin. That is not how American democracy and American judicial system works. We all need to be aware of that. That's exactly not how it works. Not exactly how it works. No, that's exactly not how it works. You can't have biased opinions on a jury when a man's life is up for grabs. That's the reason why American democracies work so far. It's the simple fact that we have checks and balances. We have things, certain safe nets that actually make sure things like this actually normally don't happen. But apparently it did. Now, the other point that I wanted to get on, and, I always love how the left loves to keep preaching the racism card. Everything is racist. Like, everything. Like, I mean, everything. Like, my pack of cigarettes. This is racist. That Mountain Dew bottle in front of me. That's pretty racist. Everything is racist. If you talk to the left, everything's racist. And especially if you're white. If you're white, you were inherently racist. You were born that way. You were raised that way. I mean, it was indoctrinated into you at birth. That's the way you're going to be for the rest of your life. I beg to differ, but, there's a lot of people on the left that they believe this. The culturally woke. That's the reason why I do that play on words in my name. Here's an interesting story from California. A California woman was pulled over for talking on her cell phone, which is actually illegal in the state of California. You can't be talking on your cell phone. A cop can actually pull you over for that. Okay? And when she gets pulled over, I don't know if you guys, watch the internet. I'm sure you do. You're on YouTube right now watching me, so I'm sure you've seen other videos and other atrocious things. But this woman, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely despicable. I mean, she's horrible. I mean, I've never heard such a more disgusting person. On the aspect, she gets pulled over by this cop. First of all, it turns out that the cop is not white. He's actually Mexican. Okay, and he's got her on body cam footage. He approaches her vehicle, just like any cop would. And as soon as he gets up by the window, she has her phone on. She's trying to video him because apparently, I don't know, maybe she thought she was going to put this on TikTok later and go viral or something like that. But she's videoing him, and while she's videoing him, she immediately goes into calling him a murderer. The man has literally not made a violent action nor even a comment to this woman. But immediately, she's a black woman, she has a child in the car, and she immediately goes into calling this man, this officer, a murderer. He's a murderer. She was scared for her life, and that's the reason why she was on her cell phone, because she wanted to videotape this. Give me a break. You were not in fear of your life. You thought that this might be an opportunity to get some more clicks and likes on your video. Okay, we all see that. I'm not going to say we're not stupid. I'm going to say I'm not stupid. And I'm hoping you're not either. But if you watch the video, this goes even further. She calls him murderer several times. Then she asks him, can I have your supervisor here? And he answers, he says, don't worry, I've already called him, he's on his way. This officer actually deserves a friggin' medal. Okay, because of the racial slurs that came out of this woman's mouth during this traffic stop. And he kept his cool, he kept his composure, he never said anything back in retaliation. He kept to the law, he kept to his job. As far as I'm concerned, this man, needs an accommodation. When he goes back to the station, they should all, just have a round of applause. Good job, man. Good job. You did the right thing. And guess what? Through all of the racial slurs and all of the opposition, she still got the ticket, which I was very proud. I was very happy about that. The idea that she still got that cell phone ticket, and I don't know what the price on that is in California. I'm sure it's probably pretty high, and the reason why is because California is pretty expensive to begin with. But I was extremely happy that she actually still got the ticket. That might seem cynical, that might seem mean, or something of that nature, but at the same time, towards the end of the video, this woman literally comes out of her mouth and says to this Mexican-American that's a police officer, he definitely is a U.S. citizen, if he's on the police force, okay, and looks at him and goes, yeah, well, you're a Mexican slave, you're a Mexican murderer, and you know you're never going to be white, right? You know that's never going to happen for you, murderer. As far as I'm concerned, this woman, if cancel culture actually exists, this woman should be canceled. She says she's a school teacher. This is who is teaching your children in California. This is the person you're sending your beautiful children on off to school with, and she is teaching your children probably critical race theory, something that's banned in the state of Florida, which I thank God. I don't know. I really don't know where parents might be thinking at this point. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm assuming that she's a public school teacher. And what I would suggest is if you can actually afford private school in the state of California, I suggest it. Go get it for your children. If you can afford that, that's a great alternative. I think it'll work out for your child and yourself. But let's get number 2. Okay, so the cancel culture and the woke mob came for Snow White today and claiming rape culture, which just made me basically shake my head. I didn't really know what to say at this moment. When I heard about this, I was like, seriously? We've canceled Dr. Seuss, so now we're going for Snow White. Okay, and here's where the story comes from. It's actually off a site of FF's Gate, which is a San Francisco Chronicle site. And they report a review of Disneyland and their reopening. And what they say is that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was supposed to be a story about love and compassion and caring between the dwarfs and Snow White, and of course Snow White and the prince that comes and saves her, and of course there's an evil witch, and so on and so forth. Okay, we all know the story. If you're my age, you know the story. Matter of fact, if you're my son's age, you know the story. Okay, now it's being reported by this site that, don't we understand that the prince actually gave Snow White the kiss without her consent because she was sleeping. So therefore, this cannot be accepted in today's society because there's rape culture involved. So basically what they're saying is that Prince Charming sexually assaulted Snow White because he gave her the kiss of true love and woke her up. How is this not a mainstream news story? How is it? Now, I do want to go on record by saying, first of all, I do agree with Matt Walsh. I mean, what about the Seven Dwarfs? I mean, if we're going to cancel Prince Charming because he decided to give an unsolicited kiss to Snow White while everybody basically thought she was dead, what about the Seven Dwarfs? I mean, these 7 individuals basically stuffed Snow White in a coffin, and supposedly she was sleeping, right? Like an eternal sleep. Isn't that what the magic enchantment was on her? So I'm wondering, I mean, should we cancel the Seven Dwarfs? They didn't even bother to find out if she was breathing or not, or anything of that nature, just wanted to bury her. And then what about the glass coffin? Apparently, there's 7 dwarfs in the middle of a forest that actually have a glass coffin that happens to be the same size as the woman they invited in their home. Anybody find that weird? This is all supposed to be comedy and satire. But at the same time, I'm trying to make light of the idea of how stupid this sounds. You're going to cancel Snow White. Really? And I always think to myself, I mean, how horrible Disney World must be. But that means that Disneyland must be even worse, because it's in California. And as far as I'm concerned, just like Matt Walsh, California is canceled. You people over there have no idea what you're doing. And you're just running amok. You can keep going. It all works. I'll stay here in Florida. Now, to get on with my third point. And this, to me, is, as a father, this is troubling on 2 different levels. Okay, so I'll just read my notes and report the story, and then you basically tell me what you think. Okay? School principal beats a 6-year-old daughter while the mother watches. Her name is Melissa Carter, which she's a principal. I'm not going to name the school because I think that would make the school a target. So, but I will name her for the simple fact of the act that she pursued. Okay, now this video has gone viral, and the mother actually set her phone up to take video because she walked into this classroom. She speaks fluent Spanish. I don't really think that she speaks really good English, because even in the interview and you watch the video, she's speaking Spanish and you have to interpret. That being said, who actually puts their kid up to that? Now, back when I was a kid, okay, in junior high school 126, corporal punishment was actually still accepted. And there was a time where I did something really bad, and Mr. Caldone, I even remember his name, called me in his office and called my father in his office and wanted to administer corporal punishment to me. Okay, he pulled his paddle out. My father stood up, looked at him and said, "You lay a hand on my son and you won't see tomorrow." Now, my father was an ex-Vietnam vet, Navy SEAL, did 4 tours in Vietnam and survived. I really don't think Mr. Caldone would have put up much of a fight. But we never know, right? That being said, do you really think that it was in the best interest of this mother to look at this principal and go, you know what? I think this is a good idea. Especially when I tell you the reason for the corporal punishment. The reason was she damaged a computer, a school computer, and the fee for this was $50. Now this mother, she shows up to the school to pay the $50 fee, and the principal calls her and the daughter into a small room off to the side. Okay, right here, I would have drawn the line. I would have sat back and went, no, I'm not comfortable with the situation. I'm not comfortable with my son being in the situation, and we're going to leave. I guarantee this principal, this female principal, and I'm not going to say women are weaker than men or men are stronger, whatever, this and that. No, but I'm letting you know, I saw the video, and this principal would have stood out of my way. Okay, I'm not your typical political commentator. Like, I'm one of those people that I can talk a lot, but I can also back it up, so I'm not concerned. What I'm concerned about is the idea that the parent went along with it. Even though she videoed it, and now she's complaining about it, saying that she didn't really understand exactly what was going on. No, as far as I'm concerned, you understood exactly what was going on. And the reason why is because you set your phone up in the back to record this. Let your daughter be a victim of this person, and then watched it happen. If that doesn't sound like something that being set up, or like the parent has already got in their head, well, you know what, I'm going to use my kid to go viral and get attention, or maybe file lawsuits or something of that nature. I don't know what does. I mean, that itself just makes me go, really? Wow. You are apparently parent of the year. Like, your daughter is so lucky. She should go viral when she finally becomes of age to actually put all of her thoughts together and actually go viral on explaining why she felt so horrible about this whole entire situation that you put her through. That's exactly what should happen. But do you hear about this story in the mainstream media? Of course not. Why? Why would you? You know, it's the same thing as, what I reported on in the beginning. The Derek Chauvin trial. This one juror being figured out that, guess what? He was a fraud. He was an activist against Derek Chauvin. You know what I mean? Do you see this being reported? Of course not. Because it doesn't fit their narrative. It doesn't fit what they're designed to do at this point. Like I said, I've stated in other episodes, there was a time when I knew that the news actually reported the news. They wanted the facts. Yeah, they would express opinions, but they always reported the facts. These days, mainstream media, they don't report the facts. They only report the narrative. And if it doesn't fit the narrative, they don't report it. Apparently, c'est la vie, is that, if that's what you want to call it. Now, I do want to get to my fourth topic, but of course, we always know, I'm hoping one day to get sponsors, things of that nature. So, I am going to take a short break. I'll be right back. This is Sean Ferrer, the Culturally Woke Republican. I'll be back with a whole lot more. Alright, I'm back. This is Sean Ferrer with the Culturally Woke Republican. Let's get into number 4. This one, to me, on an economic scale, makes me laugh. It does. I kind of chuckle inside every once in a while when I hear people that really aren't even politicians, they weren't even voted in, try to preach for economic policy through the government. To me, I don't know. I don't see it. But anyway, from the report, and this is from the Daily Wire, okay, Dr. I always have to say Dr. Jill Biden, Joe Biden's wife, First Lady, states that everyone in America should get 2 years of free community college. Okay. In my mind, I'm going, why? There are so many grants and scholarships that are out there right now that if you preach yourself as a good student and you get good grades and that's your plan in life, well, guess what? You can actually get to go to college. I went to college basically for free. Okay, I went to Penn State University for 4 years. I went on grants and scholarships. I had a dorm room. The only thing I had to do was buy my books every year, which was like $3,000 a year, because I took a double major, double minor. But if I hadn't done that, say I took one major and not a minor, I probably would have paid like $600 a year in books. But I still worked a job and made money and did what I had to. Okay, that being said, I want to know where the money is coming from, and I'll explain where the money is coming from. Okay, Joe Biden, at this point, has already inflated the dollar. I mean, he's just printing money. He's printing more money than God had ever created. And that's sarcasm. But, and the other thing I want to tell you is, if you don't think inflation is coming of the US dollar, you got another thing coming. There's something wrong with you. Like, apparently you're not thinking about economics. Okay? Because we're already seeing it. It's coming. Your taxes are going to go up. Things are going to get bad. For a little while. You know, hopefully 3.5 more years. And then it'll be changed by executive orders. I'm hoping for somebody of color, like orange. But, where the money is actually going to come from is your pockets. You're going to pay in taxes for young people, you know what I mean, just graduating high school and this and that, which is the majority. Okay, and they're going to go to community college for 2 years for free. Hopefully it's not like lesbian dance theory. Okay, and you're going to pay for it. That's the way it's going to work. And he has no quarrels with the idea of you paying for it. Joe Biden has been a politician for 47 years. He's been a racist. He's literally locked arms with the KKK. There are pictures of this. He was against the affirmative action. This guy literally trying to preach to the black community. Like, honestly, it doesn't even make me laugh anymore. It makes me sick. To watch one of his speeches, it doesn't even make me fall asleep anymore. Like, I watch attentively because it makes me feel sick. That this is what got voted into office. This is what we're stuck with. Guaranteed he's going to go down as the worst president in U.S. history, and Barack Obama is so happy about that. You want to know why? Because he had already gone down as the worst president in history. So Joe Biden is definitely going to take his place. So therefore, Barack Obama will be the second worst president in U.S. history. What I think is funny is, as far as I'm concerned, the people that actually need to actually go to college, like go to college, because this is what you need to have, your credentials, in order to have these specific jobs. Doctor, lawyer, professor, you actually have to have a doctorate or a PhD in order to, well, actually, you can be a professor at bachelor level. Like, I could be a professor in my degrees, but not a very high-paid professor, and nor do I want that job. But, you know, doctor, lawyer, these are, you know, people that really need the credentials behind college. You know what I mean? You have to have your credits. You have to do your research, your knowledge, you know, in order to perform these jobs well and accurately. Okay? What I suggest to most Americans, okay, is the idea that, one, even in the state of Florida, in my field, there's a shortage of tradesmen these days. You want to know why? Because young people don't want to do this trade anymore. They don't want to be a tradesman. They want to go into computers, they want to go into the internet, they want to be a YouTuber, they want to do this, that, and the other thing. Okay, they don't want to do what the hands-on field is. My hands come home dirty every single day, and as far as I'm concerned, that's honest work. Now, I'm not going to say that if you work on a computer, that's not honest work, but at the same time, it's fulfilling work. You know that you made that. You created it. You did this. Yeah, you can write a program and create it, but guess what? There's going to be a whole bunch of other people in the tech world that's going to elaborate on that program. You could be the author, but there's also going to be a whole bunch of sub-authors that are going to elaborate on that program and either make it better or make it worse or whatever it comes down to. Either way, there's a big room of people that you're going to have to talk to every single day. And as far as I'm concerned, yeah, that doesn't work for me. I mean, like I said, I suggest trade school. I think we, just like Donald Trump said, we need to put America back to work. Okay? There was a time in this country when we used to produce the best goods all over the world. The best commodities all over the world. And we don't do that anymore. Other countries have found easier slave labor ways to make those products and those commodities easier, cheaper, so therefore they're not paying their fair share to make those commodities, so therefore they're able to put it to the American public at a cheaper rate. That's the reason why Donald Trump came into office and produced tariffs to China, which is a big subsidiary to this whole entire point. I mean, if you don't believe this, leave a comment. I will easily acknowledge you. And you know what? If you leave a comment, I might actually talk about you on my next show. If it's a good comment. I mean, when I say good, I mean it has to be interesting. It can't be like, oh, I hate you. I get a bunch of those. I'm not worried. Okay, and this brings me to my final point of the day. The CDC has actually just outlined its guidelines on summer camp for children this year. Okay? And it says that children, now we all know that this virus doesn't really affect children, especially under the age of, I think it's like 16 or something of that nature. And that's the reason why the vaccine is actually allowed for children 16 and older. If you're in the country and if you're in the United States, you can get the vaccine at 16 years old in just about every friggin' state in the country. I mean, it's everywhere. Okay? But the CDC outlined its guidelines stating that children and staff, even if they're vaccinated, need to wear masks indoors and outside, even for outdoor activities. They also need to be socially distanced. If they're outside, they need to at least be 3 feet apart. If they're inside, they need to be at least 6 feet apart. What are we doing? How is this a good outline on taking the vaccine? I mean, Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, thank God he's our governor, okay, just came out with the same statement the other day, where he was like, the left is trying to propagate the idea that even after you're vaccinated, you still have to wear a mask. You can't